What's up, YouTube? Your boy Ricky Grimes. I'm back. I got Joe with me. This is Horror Fiend TV. This is going to be the very first episode we're going to be covering. That's right, The Walking Dead. Heading into the final season, I think it's time that we give this show a little bit of a discussion. This episode here, we're pretty much just going to get caught up into the first few episodes of season 11. 11B is coming pretty soon, so we want to get ready for that. And in case you haven't got caught up, we won't get into the spoilers of the later half. But we're just going to pretty much jump in, give us our thoughts on the series as a whole so far and what we think of season 11 and our feelings on the ending of the show. So I got my man Joe with me. What's up, Joe?
Hey, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm glad we started doing this channel and now we get to talk the final season of The Walking Dead. We are going to walk through the final season of The Walking Dead. How about that? Awesome. So yeah, no, I'm glad we decided we're going to do this. As you said, we're going to get caught up not too much because there's a whole lot of season to talk through. You never know. He and I might pop up with a channel later on discussing the series from the beginning, but we'll talk about that later, Rick.
Absolutely. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. I mean, for me personally, when it got me into the series, even before the show, I was a reader of the comic book. And when I found out AMC was doing the show, I was beyond I was so excited. I was pumped up. I definitely was not disappointed, but let's jump right in. This is the inaugural episode. And for that, I think we're going to have to take a little salute to that. Salute, my brother.
Salute, my brother.
All right. And like I always say, we all cheer for big bottles of beer. All right. So, Joe, tell me real quick, what got you into the series? I'm curious. I don't think we talked about that before.
Well, actually, I read the first 4 issues. I had them. I'm so upset that I no longer have the copies. I actually let some friends borrow them, and I'm no longer friends with them. And, I'm trying to track somebody down to get those back.
You had the actual issues?
Yeah.
Issue 1, you had it.
Issue 1. Yes. No, 1 through 4.
Listen to this, man. When I used to go to a comic shop, I was in the shop when issue 1 came out. It was in the stands. I'm a huge zombie fan. I picked it up, and as soon as I opened it and I saw it was black and white, I was like, ooh. I closed it back and I put it back on the shelf.
That's why you put it back?
I put it back. I did it.
Oh, yeah. No. See, that was your mistake. That's why when AMC did the episode in black and white.
So one day, I go to my shop, and the comic book guy at the shop, I've known him for years, and he told me, hey, man, how are you not reading The Walking Dead? And this is way before the show. And I was like, I don't know, man. I saw it as black and white. And he's like, no, you need to be watching this or reading this rather. And one day I was at work and he came into my job, and this book right here, he handed it to me. He's like, man, you need to read this, man. I got to give this to you. And he gave it to me. I took it home and I read it. I was already hooked. I went and I started ordering all the other books. I never bought single issues, never. Only until after, around when the Whisper War started. That's when I started buying the singular issues and reading month to month because I couldn't wait no more. I couldn't wait. I got spoiled before with certain deaths because I always waited for the books to come out. But and that is what it is. That's the chance you take. But yeah, I could have had it issue 1, and issue 1 had a very small print run, and issue 2 had a smaller print run because they didn't make that many. They didn't know.
No, I mean, they weren't planning on this to be as big as it became.
No,
but the writing on it, yeah, I trust me. I think we talked about it before that I had so many of the X-Men comic books that I lost. I mean, buying comic books, and then I have learned my lesson. Never again am I going to loan anyone my comic books ever. Because, if you stop being friends with them and they disappear, they're going to take off with your shit. So, but yeah, that's what got me into it. And so when AMC announced they were going to do it, I
could only imagine. Robert Kirkman pitched The Walking Dead as an alien invasion story because he knew they didn't want to touch a zombie story. And he pitched it as aliens. And 4 or 5 issues in, they came up to him, where's the aliens? And he was like, nah, there's no aliens. It's a traditional zombie story because he pitched it that aliens were behind the zombie apocalypse, And he was
I didn't know that part.
Absolutely, because they wouldn't print it. But he said, no, aliens are behind it. But then that's why they came up to him. Hey, we're never gonna get to the aliens, and he said. And by the time they answered him that, the book was already doing tremendous sales. I think early on, about issue 6, 7 around there, and it started picking up. And he said, "Nah, there's no aliens." But what they're gonna do at that point? Cancel them? Like they're making money off it.
Money,
you know?
yeah.
It's black and white, so it didn't cost anything to print. So
no, I mean, and that's the beauty about the black and white, though.
Yeah,
is because
I can't see it in
does.
color. Right now, currently they're re-releasing each issue individually. I don't know if you know, in color. They started from the very beginning. I only got issue 1, and I couldn't do it. It's not the same.
So the beauty of the series and it being black and white is the same way that I can put it to as far as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, everyone remembers that as being a gory movie. Like, go back and watch it again. You see no blood.
No.
The blood is all in your head.
What makes that movie so good is it felt real. It felt like you're watching somebody documenting everything.
But everything that you saw in your own head.
Yes, yeah.
You didn't. None of what you saw was on print.
No.
So when you read The Walking Dead, and you know the zombies, or actually not zombies, we should not. The walkers.
Can't say the Z word.
I know, the walkers.
Well, in the comics, in the comics, they weren't walkers though. That was for the show.
Well, but I mean, either way, you in your head you saw the red.
Yeah.
You didn't need to see it on your page, because as you're reading it, your brain visualizes the colors that you need for what's going to happen. So that was the brilliance of the comic book.
2010. It's Halloween night, the premiere of The Walking Dead on AMC. I remember this. Like it was yesterday, man. Halloween, it's my favorite time of the year, my favorite day of the year. And Walking Dead debuts on it. What was your first impressions when you saw it?
I loved it. I honestly, I mean, it kept so much true to the comic. I am a fan of the slow burner. I know that maybe for some people it might have thrown off a little bit, but no, I loved the first 3 seasons where it's amazing. All the seasons are good. You know, everybody's divisive as you get later on. But for me, the first 3 seasons were like, you know, television, writing, cinematography, like everything at its best.
That's because it was a more intimate story, smaller cast of characters, you know, and it felt scarier than what it is, because now the characters are so used to being around the walkers and all the mayhem and shit. So back then, everything was like fresh. It was scary. You couldn't go from here to there without getting attacked or being worried about getting attacked. You know.
Well, and you had so many new people tuning in.
Yeah.
Because this was something. I mean, up until now, we've had Night of the Living Dead and all its spawns, World War Z. So 28 Days Later, we've had all those. And this came out, and this attracted even people who weren't into zombie stuff. But what attracts viewers is the characters itself, you know. And if you've been watching this and you haven't figured out that the monsters are actually the human beings and not the walkers, then you've totally missed the point of the whole series.
The walkers are the victims, essentially. You know.
They're mindlessly doing something. The real monsters, and that's why, like, the first 3 seasons, it helped, you know, especially Shane.
Shane, I'm gonna say right now that my favorite character of all time in Walking Dead. Not in the comics. I'm solely speaking on
both.
I didn't like him. In the comics, he was so one-dimensional, though. He was just a guy that was jealous that Rick took glory from him, and it didn't have the same layers that John Berthal put into the character.
Well, because you visually got to see the character being portrayed. And it was done great.
But they've added so much more, though. They added so much more layers on the show as compared to the comic, you know. Like, the comic, people always get hung up, like, oh, the comic's always better. The comic got a few characters, right, that the show flopped on, like Andrea, for example. But a lot of the characters are a lot better in the show, in my opinion. Now,
for me,
on
the series, my favorite character was Dale.
Dale, yeah,
when Dale, for me, So when I watched the series with, Adam and Zach, Adam, my husband, Zach, my son, and we used to have all these conversations watching it, and I'm going to tell them that we're doing this so I can point this out. So both of them literally will just go ahead and just, if I get bit, they're going to off me. Like they both told me they're going to do that. I was like, damn, that's messed up. Like, yeah, I know. I'm like, all right, so it's on within our own family. But when we were watching the series, when Dale died,
that was heartbreaking, man.
I said the heart of the show died.
Yeah. He was
he was the first moral compass.
The
moral compass of the show is gone. I mean, at this point, we've lost like the last trace of what humanity had to hold on reminding us all that we still have to be who we are. Was that, oh my God, his death, like I cried.
And what was sad about that too, two things. One, he died way sooner in the show than he did in the book. And that came out of nowhere to me.
And it was all which helped create making him into a divisive character in the show, because I feel a lot of people paid for, Carl's decisions.
But the thing too is with Dale is, like you mentioned, he died. He was the moral compass that died.
He was.
And fast forward years later into the series, like he was right. Like the way society is now, where they're at now,
is what he said.
Alexandra, for example, it's what he said.
It's what he said.
It's crazy. I've always said Shane was right, because Shane always told Rick, you got to be vicious. You got to be vicious. You can't be the same guy no more. And Rick was like, nah, we're the good guys. But what happens after Shane dies? Rick becomes Shane, essentially,
Yeah. No, I mean, I like, out of the whole series, he was my favorite. Him dying, like, it shifted me watching the show for a little bit. I mean, like, it was kind of like, I don't know if I can watch it anymore.
It's tough because you read the book, so he has a lot of story left. And the fact that they just took him away from us, that felt like an actual death. Like we really lost somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Generally, that's what it felt like.
And
it felt like somebody that you were so invested into the show is gone. So now, like, you don't want, like, you're hurt. That
moment too is when Daryl Dixon became Daryl Dixon, when he said, I'm sorry, brother, and he put the bullet in his head. That is the moment where he wasn't the brother of Merle anymore. He was Daryl Dixon, member of the group now. Ever since then, because that's when he became Daryl.
Yes, totally.
Because just not too long before that, he was calling Lori olive oil and told her to go fuck off when she threw him to hell. And then, it took Dale's death. So, all right, man. Dale's your favorite. Who else did you like, real quick? Let's keep it brief. Who are some of your other favorite characters?
Man, I know
there's a lot of characters.
There's a lot of characters. Obviously Herschel. Yeah. Herschel was another great character.
Herschel, a much better representation in the show than the book. In the book,
yes,
I didn't care for Herschel at all.
Yes.
Here, he oh my God, Scott Wilson.
His death was impactful. I actually liked Lori also. I know that,
Lori, Lori didn't bother me. Like people,
some people did, but
I can see why, but
I understood what happened.
Yes.
I totally get where she came from.
When you watch it week to week, okay, she is grading. But when you go back in hindsight and watch it again, you're like, other than crashing the car on her own, what did she do? She didn't do nothing wrong.
No. I guess here's the thing. I think a lot of the originals are almost all of our favorites.
I was a little worried when the show first started, honestly. Just to go back real quick, I want to bring this up. Once I saw they're deviating from the comics, I was worried. When I saw like T-Dog, for example, and I was like, oh, who's this? This ain't Tyrese, is it? Like, what's going on here? Like, who's this? And I love Michael Rooker. I mean, Merle. Michael Rooker was one of my favorite actors. When he was in it, I didn't mind the new character at all. And Daryl,
no.
I knew Norman Reedus already from like Boondock Saints.
Oh, I love Boondock Saints. They're making a part 3, right?
Yes. Hellboy 2. He was also in Masters of Horror, John Carpenter's Cigarette Burn. So I knew him already, but yeah, I was a little trepidatious going into it, like, oh man, what's this? But T Dog became one of my favorites, man. He got a soft spot for me. But who else? Who else you got?
Carol, because
Mhm.
Carol's character in this series was not the same in the comic
No,
books.
not at all.
So I
Just by
loved her
name, essentially.
evolution.
Yeah.
I loved her evolution. You know, like at first she was the character you wanted to hate just because of the things she allowed, and just her evolution has actually. There was towards the middle point where the evolution got annoying.
Because they started repeating a lot of the same, stories and
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, here's the thing. I want to say that they strayed a lot away from the books. You
Oh,
know,
her,
at this,
absolutely. She's
yeah,
only Carol by name, essentially.
yeah. I mean, they strayed a lot away. I like Carol's character. I get her. You know, she's been given some great scenes. I mean, obviously, everybody knows. You know, just look at the flowers.
It took season 4 for the writers to really put an emphasis on the character because she was supposed to die in the season 3. When T Dog was murdered, that was supposed to be her. She was supposed to die as well, but they decided to keep her along. And then once season 4 came along, you said it. Look at the flowers, and
Well, not
her
just that.
evolution really
It
began.
was also the episode where she basically killed all the people who were sick
Yeah.
to not let them infect anyone else.
Yep.
Like this show, like this, it they introduce a character who originally started out weak and is easily manipulated to being
Mhm.
able to stand up for herself, not just stand up for herself, but look at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
knowing what the cost was going to be for what she did.
Yeah.
And at the same time, still trying to cover up whatever decisions she made.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like, you know, again, we're going on 11 years of watching this show. The shows can only do so much to keep things fresh, you know, so kind of glad we're wrapping it up. You know,
Me too. Me too.
yeah, the comic books, I think they're done.
You're done.
So let's not create any more extra, you know, because you don't want to go down the same road that Star Wars fans feel about creating extra about the Star Wars stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Let's just try to finish this up. So yeah, no, I mean, yeah, God, Carol.
Carol became Carol, in my opinion, in season 3 when she told Andrea, sleep with the governor, give him the best night of his life, and then slit his throat.
Yeah.
That's when Carol became Carol.
Yeah. That is another pivotal scene for her.
My favorite characters, you mentioned Dale. I did like Dale and Herschel, you said it. I like underdog T-Dog. T-Dog, I don't know what it was. I was so mad because they said in season 3 we're gonna put an emphasis and give him some story. Finally, I'm like, all right, good. And like 4 episodes in, he was gone. So I'm like, oh man.
Well, that's one of the things, if you didn't realize, when a character starts getting a lot of story,
they're gone.
that character is going to be gone.
That's the one thing
episodes in
that Walking Dead does wrong, in my opinion. Though they telegraph that way too often,
way too much,
all the time.
Right. So that's why as we talk towards the final season, I'm going to probably try to not be grading and repeat the fact that, come on, for 11 seasons, has the group not learned to not separate?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's bad, especially, all right, a good example is Daryl for this. Daryl, I don't know what it is. They always feel like he has to be separated and have his own story going on, as opposed
just goes off the road, like, you know, like
Daryl. He is a lone wolf, but not anymore. He loves his family. His family is in Alexandria. He should be with them all the time, but yet they always find a way to separate him and have his own story going on. Like season 11, good example with what's going on right now within the first half. He was by himself a lot of the time. They put him with a very small group, like, you know, with Maggie, Negan, you know, that whole section there. But we'll get into that in a few. But yeah, I agree with that 100%. It's a trope, and I think they need to kill that off immediately.
Yeah.
There's been so many seasons of this show. I mean, I'm grateful it survived all the way to the end, and I'm glad they're not pushing it further than it needs to go. Not counting the side, you know, spin-offs or anything like that, just the main show in general. My personal favorite season was season 2. Season 2 because it's Shane. I love Shane. Smaller cast, more intimate. It did drag in certain parts, but the payoff, for example, my favorite all-time episode, pretty much dead already, which is the mid-season finale of season 2, when they find Sophia in the barn. It took a while to get there, but in between, we had so many moments with Shane, Rick, Lori, Carl. I mean, I loved it. And when they got to Sophia coming out the barn, man, like all that was so worth it. Just seeing the look on all the characters' faces.
Broke your heart.
Carol on the floor and Daryl just jumped on top of her. Rick being the man he is, stepping up, being the one to put her down. Shane having the episode of his life on that one. That episode was incredible. And season 2, that marked the shift from Frank Darabont to Glenn Massara. And at the time, it was a weird shift. A lot of, backstage politics. Backstage, I think this is wrestling. Oh my God. A lot of behind the scene politics, let's just say, with his exit, unfortunately. But to me, season 2, it just focused on a small group. The walkers were very minimal because of the budget cuts, but it did add to the scariness of it. It just felt scarier. You can't go, you find one walker and you're like, oh shit, like, what do I do? Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like now guys walk up to him, bank, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just season 2. I don't know. I love, okay, the very first episode was awesome. During the highway, they're stuck underneath the cars and they got the first herd to come through.
That was
intense. Intense.
You're holding your breath.
Yes. Oh,
I held my breath. I held my breath. I literally had to tell myself breathe.
Yes.
Because I was holding my breath for so long, just so
great.
Freaked out. Oh yeah, that.
So it had that, and then of course, like I said, the mid-season finale was Sophia's death, and then coming in with Glenn Mazzaro. Now all of a sudden, it turned into an action series. With Nebraska was the first one. Rick kills his first 2 human victims in that bar, and then you got 8 Miles Out with Rick fighting Shane. They're fighting over Randall. They don't want Randall to leak his information out where the barn is at the farm. But that was a good comeback. And then again, they had Dale's death was heartbreaking, like you mentioned before. The episode after that was Shane's death. Now that was a payoff from season 1 that got delivered in season 2. And as soon as Shane went down, all of a sudden now the walkers are invading the farm, and that's the mid-season finale. This is the season finale. The season finale. Then you got all the walkers attacking the farm. Herschel losing the farm, which was sad. Herschel losing his family again.
A lot of his family, and friends.
Exactly.
I mean, it was...
absolutely. And you also had the Rick taking over the group, the Rick-tatorship, as they called it. He took over. He's pretty much becoming Shane.
Yeah.
The big reveal where we're all infected came in the last episode. Michonne's introduction came in that last episode, as well as a teaser for the prison in season 3. So that to me, that season finale is so underrated because it introduced so many elements to jump into the next season. So I think season 2 is excellent. How about you, my friend?
Well, see, I love season 2 also for everything that you just said. As a comic book fan, season 1, I mean,
we can't finish this video without talking about Morgan, though. Morgan was in season 1, an incredible character, but
Morgan is very annoying for me.
I
cannot stand Morgan.
You know what though? That's
the
fine.
Morgan individual episode.
But Lenny James, you got to say,
I like Lenny James. Don't get me wrong.
But Scott Gimple wrote Morgan. His episodes were always so good.
It's just they were too long, man. They were too long.
You know what it is?
I didn't need that long into the Morgan episode.
You know what it is? That Morgan's episode or Clear was amazing. It was in season 3 was Clear. That's when Rick, Michonne, and Carl ran into him again. But if you're talking about Here's Not Here in season 6, I believe it was, when he ran into Eastman. That's what you're talking about, when they showed him like becoming the fighter with the stick and going from I see red to all life is precious. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Like
what killed that for me was it came off. Remember that? Remember the episode before that? Do you remember what it was?
No.
Glenn under the dumpster when we thought he got killed.
Oh yeah.
That was that horrible placement.
so when we talk about the new season, that's going to come up with the Glenn and the Dumpster. But no, I mean, for me, the first season, just as a comic book fan, was beautifully done.
Yeah, it was. It was like a movie. It was like one long movie.
Yes. The first season was a short season. It was kind of to see if the viewers were going to tune in. Mm-hmm. And guess what? We did.
Yeah.
When they did the black and white episode solidified just how amazing the first one is.
Season 6, episode 1.
You know, and season 2, I do like season 2. I like where it took. This was a shift from, as you said, Darren Bott to
Missouri.
I was going to say mozzarella.
Yo, Clay,
Missouri taking over. To Missouri taking over. You know, you saw the shift in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for me, just because, you know, when I watch any comic book movies or shows and I'm sitting with other people and I'm trying to tell them, this is how it was in the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those, and when it's done right, because not many people do it right. No. So AMC did the first one was, I love the first one. The second one, I mean, as you said, the second one, it led to the shift in the show.
And you could tell. You can tell
the shift in how it was going. You know, Dale's death was just literally, as soon as Dale's death happened, I just said it. I said, this is it. Humanity is dead. Yeah. We no longer have the moral compass. You know, we lost the one person that was important to keeping everybody on the right track, you know, and it led to, as you said, the rigged dictatorship.
Season 1, when Amy was bit, that's straight out of the book. She was bit on the ankle in the comics. Here, she was bit in the arm at first. Or, yeah, I believe it was arm at first, regardless. That when I saw that, I was like, oh, they're doing it. This is the comic book moment when they attack the
right. So, I mean, yes, the first season kept the comic book. I'm not mad that they changed it because you know what? When you're a comic book reader, then you're expecting.
I remember a lot of people were mad when the Vatos episode came out. They're like, who are these guys? Like, they're not in the book. But at the very end is when the walkers attacked the camp and killed Amy and a bunch of others. Jim got bit. And
I mean, it's good to switch it up for the comic book reader.
I was that guy, like, no, that's not from the book.
Me too.
No, that's not right. I was that guy. So, but I learned to, you know what though? Like some of those original stories were really good.
They were.
I'm like, then I said, you know what? As long as it's good, I'm all for it because it's fresh. You know, you're not expecting it. As you know, unlike the comic books. Moments like Shane's death, we were expecting it. Like once that episode came and you saw where it was heading, we're okay. This is it. Shane's done. They're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Here, you know, because in the comics he died much earlier than he did in the show.
So
he lasted longer. Yeah, a lot of characters did. You know, Rosita, Herschel, Tyrese, except for Dale. Dale's like the only one, and Andrea that got the short end of the stick on that one.
Andrea, I hated the way they did Andrea's character, and I feel we should have gotten her the way that she was in the book.
She was one of my favorites in the comics, and she was not the actress, Laurie Holden. I like her. It's the way she was written. They just completely.
Yeah, no, I'm. If there's one thing I can truly critique out of it all, is that we should have gotten Andrea's comic book portrayal, instead of the portrayal that we got.
Real quick, favorite villain portrayed in the show. Who is it for you?
The governor.
Yes, me too.
The governor. And he did a great job.
So good. Oh my god. David Morris was amazing.
When he killed Herschel.
He's like,
liar. Oh my god. But I already hated him.
Yeah.
At that moment. Oh my god. No, the governor. I love the governor. You know, Shane.
I didn't see Shane as a villain though.
Shane was the villain.
I know, but I didn't. If you
listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you die and one of your friends jumps on Sophie, that is the villain in your story.
I understand that, but listen, Shane.
Oh, by the way, when I say jumps on Sophie, I don't mean I just mean
I know.
Jumps okay, I just realized in my head when I said,
bro, you don't got to worry about me.
But I'm just saying, like. That's the way I saw it. Was
Yeah.
that and
But the flashbacks show that Shane really did go back and try to save Rick. He didn't kill him. He didn't leave him on purpose. He wasn't like, "Oh, this is my
no,
chance. Let me leave him behind." He
I know,
tried,
but
and he was in love with. Oh my god, I was gonna say love with Sophie.
so
He
no,
was
but
in love with Lori from
so
way
that
before that.
and this is the antagonist played by the fact that that person was in love with the person that the friend was in love with.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an antagonist that they were trying to hurt somebody's life. You know, it
Well,
was.
he tried to kill Rick though, so he. I mean, that
Well, no,
was...
he did. He no, but meaning it wasn't. It was. He was an antagonist by the means of love.
Yeah, you know what? See, you're right. See, Shane's actions to me, I don't always agree with them, but I got where he was coming from. You know, like
He was in love with her,
losing his mind because of everything that was going on. But even when Dale's death, and that's right before the episode before his death, when Dale was killed and he saw Dale, his reaction, he was like, "Oh, damn!" Like he showed emotion, like he didn't want Dale to die.
Because Dale was one of the few that called him on his behavior.
He did exactly. He could have been like, "Oh, good, he's
Dale."
gone.
But moral compass.
Yeah.
Dale was even Shane's. Like Dale was the moral compass for all of them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he had his individual relationships with each character, but with Shane, he saw what Shane was going to do.
I love that, dude. You're making me want to go back and watch it right now, man.
He knew what Shane was going to do.
He did, yeah.
So he was trying to go to Shane, don't do this.
But you know who else knew was Daryl, because he went up to Daryl, remember, and he tried to warn him about Shane's like, yeah, like I'm not stupid. He comes back with a dead man's gun. Come on, he knew he killed Otis.
Oh my god, that's another Otis. Oh my god.
Yeah. We so much we could talk about.
All right, so yeah,
even
though I jokingly hinted on it, I think you know we'll do the final season, and I know fans are going to be listening to this, but I think we should do a
rewatch and just.
Well, yeah, I'm up for a rewatch because like again we keep talking about there's so many characters. Like I mean, like you know Herschel, so many people who died in Herschel's farm. Like that's like the season with the the farm, Dale, there was a lot of. This is why The Walking Dead was what it was, because it hit on your emotional part, because you were emotionally invested in characters, and these people didn't die pretty deaths.
No, Dale was bad.
Oh my god! And so by the way, this is the reason why I hated Carl and I never got past Carl.
Yeah, even in the comics, I wasn't always a big Carl guy. I mean, I do like Carl. Don't get me wrong. He's not on my like least favorite list at all. But he's not on my top tier either. But Carl in this show, when he was gone, honestly, people would say,
I didn't care.
I didn't care. I like Judith a lot more. I think the actress who they picked is knocking it out of the park, man. And you could tell because she's in a lot of things, from Star Wars to Creep Show. She's all over the place. She was in Loki as well.
But yeah, no, for me, hating Carl was Dale's death. So this was a good start of the season because this gave us the usual Walking Dead intensity. You know, you had the group inside a subway. Maggie had told them all about some, I guess, reserves that they had. So you're seeing them try to walk through zombies who are asleep. Is that what you would say, Rick?
They're dormant because I think, in my opinion, if a walker is just sitting there, and especially if they're all bunched up, nowhere to go, and they're just gonna sit there and go into this like dormant status. They're just gonna shut down. And the moment that catches their attention, it's a silly premise, but it made for a good visual. You know?
Guess what? I'm gonna go with that because I kind of thought like, wait, so walkers sleep?
No, I didn't think they were sleep. I just figured they were just there and like
dormant. All right. You know, but no, I mean, so it started out really good. So you have them getting some supplies. There's the great part of the beginning is the show actually has done this really well. Is the quiet scenes because there's not a lot of noise. They're all trying to be quiet. You know, they're basically trying to get these supplies. Then you get them. They've been pulling it up on a pulley, and the last one snaps. Daryl grabs it, gets cut, a drop of blood. This is how I knew that the final season's got a little money invested in this because that drop of blood, the way it was shot.
It's funny you say that. You say final season, but this show's been ranking in cast from like I would say since season 4 is when it really took off, and
they rank in, but there was
but the cheap
even on the,
AMC
even on that scene, even on the scene with the blood drop, the way that I saw it, the cinematography was a little bit better.
Well, the cinematography has always been good. It's the CGI when they want to implement it. That's when
so the CGI, like the reindeer,
like the deer. Oh my god! Yeah, well,
so you have them trying to get so this is, if you haven't watched it, we're going to discuss the season premiere, which is Acheron part 1 and 2. So this is going to be part 1 and 2 of Acheron and the 3rd episode of the season 11. So you have them trying to get the supplies, and obviously the walkers wake up. They all get separated, lo and behold. So while you have all this going on, you have Princess, Ezekiel, Yumiko, and
Eugene
are being captured for where the season left off last.
Yes.
They're being questioned a little bit more. And then finally Mercer tells them all they've all passed and welcome to the Commonwealth. So we get the first actual introduction to the Commonwealth. We haven't seen who they are, but this is the first actual time we hear the Commonwealth brought up in the series, which is in the comic books. And then you see the old bait and switch. You brought it up when you said Glenn on the dumpster, and it was kind of, I feel like, because we're in the final season, I do think we're going to get a couple Easter eggs thrown back to previous seasons.
Yeah.
So you had Maggie and Negan, the last ones trying to get away from the zombies in the subway. Negan gets up top. Maggie's trying to get up. She can't get up. They're looking at each other, and Negan's like, I
thought he was going to grab her, honestly.
No.
And
I did not.
No.
Negan went, you know what? Fuck it.
You're
going to try to kill me.
He's justified in his actions, though.
Right. You're going to try to kill me? Bye. Literally, that's what I saw in that scene.
It's a weird dynamic, though, because I'm defending Negan, but he did, kill her husband.
I know. And here's the thing.
It's crazy how Negan is such a good character that you forget all the disgusting things he did.
He's the antithesis because he is the bad guy that you root for.
Yes, he's so good, though.
But in some of his bad decisions are justifiable because if you put yourself in his shoes. So, like I said, in that scene, I'm like, wait, so if I save you, there's nothing saying that, like a couple hours from now, you're not going to try to kill me.
Yeah.
So let me not just be done with you now.
Yeah.
And say, the walkers got her. Yeah. There's nothing I could have done. And there's nothing, because obviously, before this, you had, and I can't remember the name of the character, but you had all of them witness the one guy getting killed too. There was a young guy in the beginning.
Yeah, you saw about the guy they locked out?
Yes.
Yeah, his name was
Gabe, basically, because after
Gage,
Maggie,
Gage.
because you had the bait and switch.
Yeah.
So in the end of the episode, it looked like Maggie was gonna die.
Yeah.
But Maggie ended up crawling under the train, knocking on the bottom of it. She punches Negan.
Negan must be like, oh fuck.
And he did. And you know what? He did such a great job.
But his explanation, go.
But the look on his face, he was like, oh shit.
He wins you over, bro, because his explanation was on point. Like, you know what? If I'm let's say Gabriel, and I'm like, you got a point, Negan. You got a point. I would do the same, probably.
You have an arrow pop up out of nowhere. And who was it that you say it got?
C. Thomas Howell, man.
C. Thomas Howell's character. And this is the introduction of the Reavers. So then you go into part 2. Part 2, man, the beginning sequence was fucking awesome. I would probably rate it second to the beginning sequence when Jesus died. Because I love the sequence in when Jesus' character got killed.
Me too, yeah.
So this scene brought me back to that scene, actually. Without the mist, without all of that. It was just the way it was done. You had Gabriel get slit. It was just it
Yeah,
happened
Gabriel, Negan, everyone got pretty much injured. Yeah,
right. It happened so fast.
yeah.
And it was just so beautifully shot.
Oh, it's good. It was
Like
good.
I
It was
sat there and I'm
dark.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, I love when
yeah.
I'm watching a
Slow-mo.
series or a show
They
when
don't
you
do
hold your
slow-mo a lot
breath.
in Walking Dead.
Say again?
Like they use a lot of like slow-mo shots, and
They do.
they don't really use it often at all in the show.
No, like The Walking Dead, one of the things it does, like I will sit there and hold my breath and literally hold my breath until it's done. And the scenes that it'll start from the minute you hold your breath, next you know, you're holding your breath for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because all this stuff happened. So you see all these characters, you know, you lost Cole. So then you get this whole entire attack going on. You lose Cole. Duncan gets all kinds of fucked up.
I won't lie.
You
I
know?
thought Cole was going to become like a Jesus type character, where in the like to Maggie essentially.
Yes.
Or not. I'm sorry. Not even. No. I take it back. Dante in the comic books got into a relationship with Maggie. They were like, you know, they were a couple. But Dante, of course, in the show was turned into a whisperer, and he got killed off quickly. So I thought he was going to take that role, where maybe not dating but close to Maggie.
But, yeah,
you know, like her number two, because Jesus was gone. I thought Cole was her new number two.
One of my favorite scenes was Maggie, Negan, and Alden are walking, and they're hearing screaming, and Maggie goes and Negan goes, "Oh, so really? We're just gonna run to the screams?"
Negan, the voice of reason, man.
that's a horror movie like thought process.
Yeah,
like really,
yeah,
so we're just gonna run to the scream. One of the parts that we have going on in Hunted is that Carol and Magna and all of them are trying to gather the horses.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up using one of the horses as far as food.
Oh, I hated that scene, man. You know me.
So you know, I know you hated the scene, but you know it's weird because
I get it. Though.
Hold on. Here's why I thought you were gonna hate the scene, because the scene involved kids, and I know your thing about kids, and it was Glenn's son, and I didn't write down Herschel basically telling them all to just go ahead and eat it.
Yeah.
Because he's eaten horse before.
Yeah.
So when he's sitting there, you know, talking to, you know, Michonne and Rick's son and
RJ.
Well, and the girl.
Gracie.
And you know, she's looking down at the plate. I honestly, when they were looking at the plate, my mouth kind of like went, ew. Like I don't know.
I thought you were gonna say my mouth started watering. I was getting hungry.
No, I went like I got where like the scene was shot so well that you felt that whole like, ew, I don't want to eat horse right now.
Well, our group ate dog before, which I'd rather eat a horse than a dog. I'll be honest.
I would rather eat not either.
Well, yeah, obviously I wouldn't either.
But the other part of this episode is that you now had. It looks like Alden might not make it. So yeah, you had like the question mark on whether or not he's gonna make it, and he's trying to push both Maggie and Negan to keep going. But I think Negan just wants to leave him behind, and Alden knows. I agree with you. Maggie's like, we're gonna take you.
What a dynamic that is. Yeah,
it is. That's what I'm saying. Can you imagine? So
you
got these two people. One is like, I'm gonna drag you until I can get there. And the other one's like, dude, he's dying.
He's dying. And the guy dying is like, yeah, he's right.
Let's just leave him behind. I mean, you know. So anyway.
You're probably gonna find Alden, honestly, on the cross burning up. Because remember they had the corpses on those crosses because the Reapers they're religious. They're a religious group. And that's what they were doing. So I got a feeling next time we see Alden, it's gonna be. This is not in the comics, so I'm not spoiling nothing. That's just what I think. A Ricky Grimes theory, put it that way. But yeah, we're heading into the right now. When the series comes back, like I said, we're not gonna get too far into it in case you guys want to catch up. We don't want to spoil it, the rest of it. But I think we're in a good position right now. Some cons though, the Reapers started off amazing when he first came in and he killed everybody, and then once episode 4 comes in.
I haven't got to 4 yet. So
yeah, I'm not gonna say it. But what I'm trying to say is like in the comics, the Commonwealth story, I did not like it because
not many people did.
I don't want I don't want like classes or like
Yes.
upper
I mean,
class, lower class, all this stuff. Like I don't. But in the show, it was so interesting. I was into it as opposed to the Reaper storyline where I just want to get away from that already. You're like, all right, this is the last season. I don't want the
well,
group split up. I want everybody together. Let's all
but
go together.
we're gonna have to discuss that next when we do 4, 5, and 6.
We will. We'll get into it. We're gonna talk about everything. This Walking Dead. We're gonna be covering this show until the very end. So
yes, we will.
Please join us. Come back for that right now. So final thoughts. Anything you want to close this video out with, Joe? Anything you want to?
Me, I'm looking forward to this. I'm
what are you looking forward to? Yeah,
I'm glad we're closing off a great. I mean, I know it's divisive through some of the years, but I'm glad to have something where I can talk to somebody else about the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like hopefully we get some response from you guys on what you guys think.
So once The Walking Dead comes back, 2 weeks from now, 1 week if you have AMC Plus, 2 weeks officially on AMC. Come back once the episode airs. We will be dropping off our review of season 11B, episode 1. That's going to be episode 9, because this is 3 parts. We're going to start part 2 of the final season now. So with that being said, please come back. This is Horror Fiend TV. I'm Ricky Grimes. We got my man Joe. This is going to be the Walking Dead discussion. Please come back. We're going to have a lot of great content for you. We're going to break it down, what we liked, what we didn't like. And once the series is over, we're going to get back into it. We can get back into it. We're going to plan. Yeah. We're planning on something. We're not going to say it right now, but we got something planned for that final season once it's over. So please come back and join us for that.
Yep.
Be good. Take care. Please like, subscribe to Horror Fiend TV, and come back for the next one, folks. Peace.